Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the African Exodus show. I am your host, Tierney Cherie, here to you with a new video. Today, we're going to talk about the secrets of America's founding. This is going to be a new series for the Hidden Revelations segment. And we're going to really get into detail about the United States of America. So why are we going this direction? I think that we all see a lot of problems in the world today. We all see a world system that is going in a singular direction, and yet we don't know why. What we have to understand and wake up to is the fact that our society is controlled. Our society is controlled to a point where only a few people are making decisions that affect the entire world. And if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this presentation, that is that the United States of America, just as the entire world, is being ran by secret societies. I know you see your president and you think that that's the person that's making the rules. I know you see your congresswoman or congressman, you see your senators, and you think that those are the people who are deciding what happens today or tomorrow. It's not true. There are secret societies that are in every aspect of this society, and they are the ones that are really calling the shots. And you have to understand that America, before it even became a country, was ran by those secret societies, and before anyone even came to America from Europe, before Columbus even came to America, those societies were already present inside of that land. So we're going to talk about that. Now, I want to talk today about the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar is a group that for many reasons have escaped history. Many people don't talk about them. You don't really learn about them in history. You might learn about the Crusades, but you're not told about the organization that was used and utilized in order to do those Crusades by the Catholic Church. So let's talk about them. The Knights Templar were a large organization of devout Christians during the medieval era who carried out an important mission to protect European travelers visiting in the Holy Land while also carrying out military operations. They were a wealthy, powerful, and mysterious order that has fascinated historians and the public for centuries. Tells of the Knights Templar their financial and banking acumen highlight and underline their military prowess and their work on behalf of Christianity during the Crusades still circulate throughout modern culture. I said highlight the banking acumen. We're not going to do this in this series, but do know that the Knights Templar are responsible for the banking system as it exists today. They were original bankers, and also they were really the ones who pushed the monetary system that we have. So one reason that the Templars basically disappeared from the scene is that, again, they were a secret society. They basically clashed with the King of France, and they were exposed for many different rituals and practices that they were committing. And some of these might even surprise you, because they said they were a Christian organization. They put out this image as being these crusaders. They said they were doing it for Christianity, but actually they were not Christians. They were Satanists. They were people who had a hatred of Christ, so much to the point where they even spit on the cross. So let's talk about the rituals. The fall of the order began with the mass arrest of Templars in France on October 13, 1307, an infamous date that some have thought has inspired Friday the 13th. So anytime you hear Friday the 13th, this is what they're talking about. They were accused of idolatry, blasphemous rituals, and sexual deviance. And the Grand Master of the Templars were amongst those who were burnt alive. Now, when they say rituals, this is the type of things that you should know that they were doing. I'm going to play a video really quick and we can come back.
During the Templar trials, members of the order described how initiates were required to perform bizarre sexual rites, bestowing obscene kisses on the bodies of senior members. They confessed to spitting and trampling on the cross and denying the divinity of Jesus.
The accusations have been leveled at the Templars are extremely lurid.
But most shocking of all was the testimony that the Templars worshipped a sinister bearded head.
In the trials, the head was described in various different ways.
It was rumored to be the preserved head of the first Templar Grand Master, Hugh de Payens. It was also described as a two-faced skull or the head of an animal. Some mentioned a weird idol known as Baphomet.
So yes, as you saw, they were spitting on a cross. They were worshiping Baphomet. We talked about Baphomet in different segments of the weather forecast segment, Baphomet being the incarnation of Lucifer. They worshipped him, and that was really when Baphomet became popular inside of the main sphere. But what happened to the Templars? That's the question. Well, they escaped the persecution in Europe, and many of you might not know, but they actually escaped to America. So it's been reported that many Templars went into Scotland. If you don't know, Scotland is like the home of Freemasonry. That's why you see so many lodges have come out of Scotland. And after that, they fled to Nova Scotia, Canada. So there's a theory, and I would advance that it is true, that the Knights Templar carried treasures to Scotland where they would find greater freedom, especially in light of the laws that were allowed for greater freedom of religion. Some believe that they stayed behind in Scotland. Some did stay behind in Scotland, where they constructed the mysterious Rosslyn Chapel, a medieval church that lies a few miles south of the capital city in Edinburgh. To protect the treasures, though, some knights had carried it first to Iceland, then to Greenland, and then to Nova Scotia, Canada. If the theory holds, then the Knights Templars may have preceded Christopher Columbus to the New World. Many people preceded Christopher Columbus, by the way. Not just many Africans preceded Christopher Columbus in America, obviously. So Henry Sinclair, that was a Scottish and Norwegian nobleman who was at the time was believed to have been a knight. He was a Knight Templar who was undercover. And he led them away from Europe to North America 100 years before Columbus. Now, you might say, what is the evidence that the Knights Templar were in America? There is evidence. There is actual ruins that you can find that are Knights Templar symbolism very clearly and show that they were in North America. Some of which, for example, they went inland to Massachusetts, where there is a rock that is known as the Westford Knight, which commemorates the death of Earl Henry's companion, Sir James Gunn. Also, the Newport Tower. This is an example of rubble-built Romanesque architecture and Templar tradition around churches. So when I say that this has to do with the secrets of the founding of America, understand the Knights Templar didn't just disappear. They are still here. There are many organizations that have roots to them. Some are open about it, much more are secret about it, but have roots to this organization. Secret societies in general, many of them have roots to this organization. I'm going to name just a couple. The American Red Cross. Did you ever wonder what that Red Cross was about? That organization has openly shown the imagery of the Knights Templar and put themselves out there as being a charitable organization. It should be of no surprise that Freemasons, and if you don't know, when the Knights Templar went into Scotland again, they merged with the Freemasons. Freemasons are very much supporters of the Red Cross, and there's a reason for that. In addition, the Order of the Temple of Solomon, they claim that on their website that they come directly from the Templars. That's also the name that the Templars had, which comes into significance because if you know the Capitol building in the United States, which we're going to talk about probably in the next video of this segment, is that the Capitol building was a replica, supposedly, of Solomon's Temple, or that's what it was supposed to be. In addition, the Masonic Fraternal Police Department's mission states that it is the Knights Templars. Now, this one I want to talk about in closing of this video because I want us to understand, particularly those of us who are African, that these societies are meshed in with us as well. Now, you might not have caught this during the Trayvon Martin murder and the protest that happened afterwards, but there was definitely a element of the Black bourgeoisie controlling the narratives. There was definitely an element of the boule that were controlling the narratives, and you get to see that inside of a clip that I'm about to play about this organization, the Masonic Fraternal Order of Police. So watch this right here.
And local officials now urging people upset about the George Zimmerman verdict to protest peacefully.
KCAL 9's Bobby Capel has more on that and the latest demonstrations in Long Beach.
A group of Long Beach community members gathered on the steps of the city's courthouse today protesting the acquittal of George Zimmerman, and they did so peacefully.
Rioting and violence is not going to make anything better. We're trying to bring everyone together and show unity and set an example, and that we can have a peaceful rally and be civilized.
We come standing calling for peace.
In the days following the violent protests in both the Crenshaw district and in Hollywood, community leaders gathered in South LA to make sure people who want to voice their opinion about the Zimmerman verdict this weekend obey the law.
We don't want any people to be harmed, anybody to be hurt. We don't want any more property to be destroyed.
Tomorrow morning, the Reverend Al Sharpton is organizing a protest called Justice for Trayvon 100 City Vigil. That will take place on the steps of the federal courthouse in downtown Los Angeles.
We thank God for the privilege of being able to come together with our officers, with our Freemasons, with our preachers, and also our gang intervention specialists. We're all together calling for peace in the city of Los Angeles.
You saw that man with the sunglasses, the Mason, right? So here's a backstory of this. Now, this says 3 people claiming to be descendants of Knights Templar, a 3,000-year-old police order, are now in custody after they broke the first rule of Illuminati police. Obviously, you don't talk about it. David Henry, Brandon Key, and Tonette Hayes were arrested last Thursday for impersonating peace officers after they sent letters to various police chiefs throughout California in January, announcing that Henry had been named chief of the Masonic Fraternal Police Department. The 31-year-old Keel wrote in the California Department of Justice as deputy director of the community affairs. The LA Times described him as an aide to the California Attorney General, Kamala Harris, and said that the department has put Keel on administrative leave. Yes, Kamala Harris, the vice president, supposedly an aide to her. Now, authorities became suspicious of the group after the letters had been mailed out, and Keel called several agencies to schedule in-person meetings. Captain Roosevelt Johnson of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department met with the group, and according to the LASD, they could not answer basic questions about the Masonic Fraternal Police Department and its jurisdiction over the overall police department. The organization was founded by the Knights Templar in 1100 BC and claims to have jurisdiction in 33 states. The 33 is not a coincidence, of course, and oversees 500,000 members. If you dare question your credentials, here's what you should say about that. When asked what's the difference between the Masonic Fraternal Police Department and the police departments, the answer is simple for us. They were here first. We were born into this organization. Our bloodlines go deeper than an application. This is more than a job to us. That is what was said from them. Now, I want you to understand that this is not something that is far and few between. And this is obviously something that's a little bit, like strange. The fact that this person would be standing there at this press conference, and obviously, if you're at a press conference, you have police, and you're standing with the police, you have some type of police authority. Yet this person, after going out vocally and outing themselves basically as being the Masonic Fraternal Police Department, after the press gets wind of it, you decide basically to persecute that person and throw them into jail. That's not suspicious, right? It's very suspicious. Understand that the Knights Templar are very much alive today. They're in a number of societies. They're in a number of aspects of this society. And we're going to see one aspect come into fruition whenever we talk about the founders of the United States. They were not called Knights Templar. They were called Masons, but the same elements exist today. I want to leave you with this image of Christopher Columbus, who they said sailed the ocean blue, right? Well, Christopher Columbus, if you don't know, although he came a lot after the Knights Templar came to America, he wore a red cross on his ship. And no one wants to explain why or talk about why, because that's not going to bear well with history, especially this romanticization of Christopher Columbus. But understand, this is a clear indication that the very founding of America was one that was being done in concert with the Knights Templar, and is going to manifest in the future when we see that their agenda is being brought into fruition, particularly inside of this age that we are in. That's it for this Hidden Revelations. I would love to hear your thoughts. Definitely keep the conversation going, and I will see you all in the next video.
The Bible is a book about race. It's so funny that they tell you don't deal with race, but the Bible is about race. The reason why they tell you don't deal with race is because there's a people hiding. They hiding throughout history, and they are the enemies of God. And so that's the reason why they taught They are the ones over your education and over your movies and over your TVs and over all of your communication. And they got up above us and taught us. Basically, our enemies taught us. And that's why your enemy teaching you is a great weapon. It's a great weapon. If I can teach my enemy, then that's a great weapon for me, because I can teach him what I want him to know and not give him the correct information. You must understand that the powers that be, the elite powers, you could call it Illuminati. All y'all studied Illuminati, y'all studied all of that stuff before. You could call it Illuminati or the Rothschild, the bloodline families, whatever you want to call it. But the powers that be understand that they are fighting against our God. They understand that they're not atheists. They want you to think they're atheists, but they believe in our God. They just believe in Lucifer as their God. And so Lucifer is the one that has empowered them through hidden knowledge to gain the wealth of the nations. And so the wealth of the nations is given into the hands of a certain people. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And they're using that wealth to destroy the earth. That's what their job is, because the Bible says that Lucifer appears out of chaos. The New World Order comes out of chaos. So the people that he has empowered has to do enough wickedness and evil to bring destruction so he can come and take over a system that they broke. Now, through his prophecy, we're going to identify Esau today, because you need to know who he is. He says, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword thou shalt live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, which means you're going to get up above your brother at some point, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father is at hand, and I will slay my brother Jacob. Now God has released a prophecy over Esau. Y'all got what I'm saying? And he's telling you who his descendants are going to be. Y'all there? They only going to dwell in the good. Fatness means good, the best. They going to dwell in the best of the earth, right? And they going to get what they get by war, sword, conquering. Y'all, come on, talk to me. So they going to be warlike people that love the war, and they going to live in the best places in everybody's nation. This is Esau. Matter of fact, I think it was last week, I think we was going somewhere, and my mother said something like, why is the level of hate against black people the way it is? Why is so much hate? Well, this is why.